My name is Christine Berthet. I'm the co-founder of CheckPeds, an organization for pedestrian safety in Manhattan. Right now, it's nearly impossible to cross the street because of congestion. It is very dangerous, and to cross the street, we are being hit by cars all the time. The noise is unbearable because of the honking, and the air quality is terrible. So we do need to reduce the number of cars in Manhattan so that this population can function. At the same time, we also need transit and transportation for people. The vast majority of New Yorkers do not have a car, and they need a mode of transportation which is effective, rapid, healthy. And in order to deliver that, the congestion pricing scheme will deliver money for these people, for the transit of everyone. And this is very critical for our the health of our city and the health of our economy. So please pass congestion pricing. Do not change the deduction, which are already very good and very reasonable. And let's try it and see how it works. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Treat. I'm chair of the Hell's Kitchen Neighborhood Association, but I'm here more as the wife of a disabled veteran, former teacher, retired New York City teacher. We need congestion pricing for everybody, and also for disabled people who are too often overlooked in any public sphere, civil engagement. It's dangerous in my neighborhood, the West Side. It's dangerous everywhere, wherever you are in New York, in Manhattan, it's dangerous just to get around. And it's got to stop. That's it. It's got to stop. We need congestion pricing. That's the answer. Bingo. You got it. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Felipe Castillo. I live on 143rd Street. Congestion in Manhattan is already costing everybody, including drivers. By implementing this congestion pricing proposal, the costs are going to be passed on directly to the vehicles causing the congestion. I support this. Driving a vehicle into the congestion zone is a voluntary behavior. These costs are going to deter some drivers and will free up roadways for those willing to pay the toll, and will free up roads for public transport and emergency vehicles. Lastly, the money from the tolls is going to go to improve transportation services in transit deserts, which is overall a positive effect. I support congestion pricing, and thank you for your time.
My name is Martha Sid. I live and have raised a family in a residential neighborhood you're now calling the Central Business District. This proposal discriminates against people living below 60th Street. New York City residents live in the toll district should be exempt from fees. Anything different discriminates about them owning cars. The Central Business District toll arbitrarily begins at 60th Street. So resident drivers south of there are charged anytime they simply leave or return home. Why 60th Street? Are you ignoring the congestion at York and 61st Street? What about on East 96th Street or near the GW? This 60th Street delineation bifurcates Manhattan, penalizing some New Yorkers who own cars, but not all. We already pay an 18% parking garage tax, or grapple with street parking, pay higher insurance premiums. State and city leaders are promising discounts to drivers from Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, and those who cross bridges and tunnels. Yet those of us who live in your catchment zone are discriminated against and penalized for living in a residential neighborhood that now you call the Central Business District. Instead, why don't you enforce the traffic laws already on the books, like ticketing drivers in bus lanes, or those who honk and contribute to noise pollution and road rage? Enforce no idling laws, not just against cars and buses, cars and trucks, but what about the buses who keep the AC on or the heat while they are not in service? Reassign those ineffective individuals who direct traffic on congested city streets and have them ticket, enforce traffic laws, raise money, and improve the quality of life for all. Don't discriminate against some, but not all car owners. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Gershberg and I live in New Jersey, and I came here to support congestion pricing. New Jerseyans like me may not reside in New York City, but like New Yorkers, we rely on consistent, well-maintained subways and buses to get to where we work, where we visit friends and family. Right after this, I will be taking the 405 to get to a basketball game in Union Square, and then the L to the Uptown A for a friend's birthday in Washington Heights. And tomorrow morning, I'll take the path and transfer to the R to get to work in Brooklyn Heights. Congestion pricing is a common sense way to provide resources to maintain this critical infrastructure that New Yorkers, Connecticuters, and even us New Jerseyans and everyone from around the world relies on every day. I urge the MTA to prioritize transit riders and implement this program quickly so no more urgent capital improvement projects are deferred and our air is more clean now. And I also call upon our state and local leaders, especially in New Jersey, to support congestion pricing in the millions of constituents that would benefit from it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sproul Love. I live up on 124th Street in Harlem. My wife and 2 school-age children take transit all the time, every day, and I would like to speak in favor of congestion pricing. I echo all the positive comments that have been said at the meeting, but I just wanted to say, as someone who lives in Harlem, where 75% of households do not own a car, we as a neighborhood rely on transit very heavily, and would love to see the 2nd Avenue subway turn west and head down 125th Street. We also love that my 14-year-old son can ride around the city in an inexpensive, less polluting way that fosters independence for him. And I look forward to doing that for my 10-year-old daughter when she's old enough. So I also want to point out that we own a car and occasionally drive into the Central Business District. And I think all of the drivers who have gotten so upset about being told are undervaluing their time, because as a driver, when I do go into the district, I know I'm going to save more time that's going to be more valuable than the $15 toll. And I think that's true for businesses. Anyone who spoke in favor of drivers, even cancer patients, they're all going to benefit because they're going to get to where they need to go more quickly. So I urge you to implement congestion pricing as soon as possible. And when you see how it transforms New York City in a positive way, please extend the zone up into our neighborhood. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phil Wong. I've been a resident of Elmhurst, Queens since 1976. A little further from I'm like 2 blocks away from Maspeth. And then to my left is Middle Village. And a little further down Middle Village is Glendale. And all these communities have the same problem. It is they have been a transportation desert since the year I moved here in 1976. An average resident to get to the subway, where they take 1 bus, and quite a few of them take 2 buses. So to them, driving is the only option to get to work, or to get to Manhattan, or to get to Jersey. For mom and pop businesses, that's all they could do to make deliveries. The congestion pricing to them requires them, once implemented, requires them to pay an extra $3,600 a year. They're not getting a raise of that amount, far from it. If they get a raise at all, they have to cough up this money somehow. And to many of them, it is very hard. I'm here to oppose congestion pricing, not only because of that we live in a traffic desert in many parts of Queens. We also feel that it diverts congestion. people to get to Jersey, they would just cut through Staten Island, or they'll cut through the George Washington Bridge, avoiding South Manhattan. And you're shifting the congestion into the Bronx, you're shifting the congestion into Staten Island. You're not reducing congestion. And finally, I heard a lot about air quality emissions. Now, if that's really the case, the MTA should exempt cars that are electric vehicles like Tesla, or they should give a 50% discount to hybrid cars. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zach Berman. I'm a New York City public school teacher. I teach at Stuyvesant High School in the congestion zone. And I'm a strong supporter of congestion pricing. I was outraged when Michael Mulgrew said that he was going to sue the city for congestion pricing, because I realized that the vast majority of teachers, first of all, don't teach in the zone, and the ones that teach in the zone take the train. At my particular school, 95% of our teachers take public transit into school, and of the students, probably more than that. And the biggest concern of teachers and students is train delays. Students get there 45 minutes before school starts, 15 minutes before they're allowed in the building. Students are standing outside, hundreds of students standing outside in the cold, in the rain, in the heat, waiting for the building to open, because they're afraid if they wait longer, they might have train delays and they might be late for class. We need congestion pricing. On behalf of the 200,000 UFT members and 1 million public school teachers, I support congestion pricing. And Michael Mulgrew, I don't know why he supported this. Maybe a handful of teachers yelled at him. Maybe he doesn't want to pay the toll, but he doesn't represent us. I'm outraged at that. Congestion pricing is going to get New Yorkers where they're going faster. That's all it's about. Get us going faster, get the kids who want to be at school on time, let them get there on time. We need more reliable transit, we need more trains, we need shorter headways, we need to get going. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Benjamin. I'm a lifelong Manhattanite. I grew up here, and I strongly support congestion pricing. Having grown up in the city, the only thing I can think of, honestly, is like the children that live here and that have to grow up here. Like when I grew up myself, I know that the only thing that my parents were really honestly worried about, they really weren't worried about, anything happening to me besides for getting hit by a car. And it makes me really sad that that's something I'm gonna have to worry about, hopefully, when I raise my kids here. And I'm hoping that congestion pricing can be the first step to alleviate some of those concerns, and hopefully the first step to, getting rid of some of the cars so that, it's less likely that they get hurt. I don't know. I think that this would be a great thing for our city. Obviously, transit is the lifeblood of our city. I think the MTA does a fantastic job. And, obviously things are improving tremendously. So I really, really hope that this is, the next step. Thank you so much. And I don't want any exemptions on congestion pricing. All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you for providing me with a chance to speak at this meeting. My name is John Noble, and I've lived in Midtown East for 21 years, and I don't own a car. Some of my favorite activities in the city are riding and walking around to explore the city. But I've learned that vehicle congestion in the tolling district can make this activity unsafe. During peak hours, vehicles become gridlocked. Drivers become agitated about not going anywhere, and they block crosswalks and bike lanes and make unsafe maneuvers in their understandable impatience to try to get moving. Therefore, I support the tolling structure outlined by the MTA for this tolling district as a way to reduce this congestion, relieve drivers of their agitation and impatience, and thereby make it safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, and drivers to get around this wonderful city. I also use public transportation to get around the city, and I support the tolling structure because it will bring much needed money, specifically earmarked for capital projects, to improve public transportation. So I support the tolling structure as outlined, and I want to thank you again for your time and the opportunity to speak at this meeting. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ray Mackel from the International Union of Operating Engineers. I'm here today on behalf of more than 6,700 men and women represented by the Local 94, in addition to 20,000 lives they support financially. Our members operate our city's most sophisticated, efficient commercial buildings, hospitals, hotels, apartment houses, powerhouses, as well as providing air conditioning and heating in our city schools. Local 94 members take great pride in our work, and they have worked diligently to keep our buildings open through the pandemic and any emergencies. Through their dedication and training, our members have reduced the carbon footprint for New York's most historic and iconic buildings. Our members are also the fire safety directors, the men and women who meet the fire department, and other first responders during a fire and other emergencies. Local 94's record of success is built on the round-the-clock attention over 3 shifts of chiefs, engineers, mechanics, helpers, and firemen. That means our members report to work throughout the day, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning, and others as late as 11 p.m. at midnight. While many of our members commute by train or bus, for others, the public transportation schedule just would not fit their work schedule, especially since our members are often called in on emergencies during times when buses and trains are not an option and simply not unavailable. We need to respond immediately to emergency conditions. Waiting for transit is not an option. Considering the work our members perform to reduce our city's carbon footprint, it is more than a bit ironic that they will be asked to pay such a extensive tax. It is unfair that the city would apply a significant tax and undue hardship to the very workers that truly are the first responders during a global pandemic, not to mention 9/11 blackouts, hurricanes, and other emergencies. There are very men and women stepped up during these unknown times. That is why I'm respectfully requesting the accommodation made not only for the members who are the first responders that are the lifeblood of this city, but for all first responders. Thank you.
Can you tell me your first name? What's your last name? Excuse me, Averson.
Hi, I am a resident of the area below 60th Street, which is the so-called business district, but it is a residential district as well. I have lived there since the 1980s, so I know it extremely well. And I want to say, first of all, that I completely support the comments from the fire department. And that just, to me, shows how poorly planned this whole scheme is. This is fulfilled with tens of thousands of residents. I do not believe that the MTA has really taken enough time to see what the outcome of this is going to be. Can the MTA explain why West Street and the FDR parkways are exempt from the toll? I don't really understand how that's going to work. If cars and trucks are going to come in and avoid the streets, they're going to go on West Street, they're going to go on the FDR, backing up traffic terribly on in those areas. And the other thing that I find very confusing is, why is the MTA supporting this? If more cars come in and more tolls are paid, the congestion pricing tolls, more tolls are paid, the MTA makes more money. So the MTA should be able to just get the $700 million they lose in fare beaters every year. Taxes could be raised. There's a lot of things that could be done to improve the MTA. That's essentially what I have to say. I just don't think the planning of this has been very good at all. And I, for one, object to it. I have a car that I do use. I park in Lower Manhattan, and my understanding is if I come off West Street and go to the garage as a resident and a senior citizen, I will get hit with the toll. I'm asking for an exemption for that, for someone like me as well. Thank you very much.
Jay Leonard. Good morning. I've been commuting into New York City for over 40 years, and I am speaking out to express my strong endorsement for the implementation of congestion pricing in New York City. I firmly believe that congestion pricing is a crucial step towards addressing the ever-increasing traffic congestion and improving the quality of life for New Yorkers. Congestion pricing will not only benefit commuters by alleviating traffic, but it will also generate essential revenue. This revenue can then be reinvested into strengthening public transportation infrastructure, thereby enhancing the efficiency and dependability of the city's transit system. Our transit system is in dire need of upgrades, from modernization of existing stations, to integrating crucial enhancements in technology to advance its performance for all residents. This initiative has the potential to revitalize New York City's transportation system, improve air quality, reduce congestion, and elevate the quality of life in New York. Seizing this opportunity is imperative for cultivating a more efficient and favorable environment in our city. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Greenspan. I'm a resident of the zone of the congestion pricing plan. The MTA's congestion pricing plan is essentially a revenue gathering scheme, not an environmental solution. And it does so on the backs of a small segment of New York MTA users. Currently, the MTA mischaracterizes the affected zone as a business zone, a business district. You know, in post-COVID life, every single neighborhood and area is a business district. The scheme, as it is currently conceived, unfairly penalizes a small segment of residents and businesses served by the MTA. We will be told every time we take a car to a doctor appointment outside of the zone, every time a service provider comes into the zone to provide a service, repair, or product to us, and the cost will be passed on to us for the increased costs to neighborhood businesses. This desired revenue for the MTA should be collected in another way. This cost should be spread equally among all beneficiaries of the MTA system, not just a small few. You could also increase the MTA police force to collect the $700 million of evaded subway fares. I love and use the public transportation system, but I strongly oppose this plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing the ability to record this message. My name is Brian Jablonski. I'm a New York City fire officer. I live in the Bronx and I work in the congestion pricing zone. I wanted to share my colleagues' concerns about the health and safety impact of having firefighters take their heavy carcinogenic dirty gear onto New York City subways and buses. My daughter takes the bus to school every day, as well as my pregnant wife goes to and from work on city bus and subway. And I would not want them exposed to the carcinogens that I encounter every day at work to myself or other firefighters. I don't know if you know this, but New York City firefighters in general have a much higher rate of cancers than population at large. Even studies have shown that children of firefighters have an increased incidence of cancers. So I take great pains to decon myself before I go home. I never bring my gear home to my family, my kids, and I wouldn't want to take it on the subway or bus and expose them needlessly or other New York City residents. I thank you for your time and be well.
Hello, my name is Lawrence Lowinger. I'm an 82-year-old disabled New Yorker living in the congestion pricing zone. I have a New York City disability parking permit. And I do not believe that people like me have been recognized in the congestion pricing plan. And that includes, as I understand it, the Traffic Mobility Review Board's recent proposal, its individual disability exemption plan. We have no advocates. Please do not let us fall through the cracks. Include us as an exemption as part of the overall plan. Thank you very much.
Charles Zalbin. I live in Lower Manhattan. I am for the funding of the MTA and the goals of better transit, but I am against the implementation of the congestion pricing as it is right now. There are approximately 1.6 million residents in Manhattan. The congestion pricing, the way it is now, is going to impact all the residents below 60th Street, which is approximately 800,000 people, because we'll be paying an additional costs of everything being delivered into the district. You're imposing a use tax only on the residents of Manhattan below 60th Street, creating two classes of taxpayers. I know your job is to raise revenue for the MTA projects and to increase ridership. Your focus has been moving on your customers through the Manhattan without including the impact it is on the residents. I hope you will be tracking the economic impact of congestion pricing on people who live below 60th Street. Thank you.
My name is James Scott. I live at 111 West 94th Street. I have occupied that apartment for the last 14 years. I find this pricing scheme to be untenable for somebody in my position or anybody who lives north of 59th Street. I leave the city taking the 59th Street bridge from the 59th Street entrance on the lower level. I will enter the area for about 2 seconds as I approach the 59th Street Bridge, and I will be charged $15 to cross a bridge that I have never paid a toll for in my entire life. This also applies to everybody above 59th Street or now who would exit the city on the 59th Street Bridge, having no impact at all. In fact, they are exiting the congestion zone. So there is no reason for this fee to apply to people who live north of 59th Street who are exiting on the 59th Street Bridge. That's my comment.
My name is Brian Foreman, and you can tell by my accent, I'm originally from England. Congestion pricing in London worked because there was a tremendous system of transportation, even though many people are unhappy. My opinion is that people like myself who keep a car in Manhattan, even in a garage, should be allowed to buy a permit, and that permit should give them access to wherever they want to drive in New York City. This will require policing, and the policing should be in effect anyway. When you travel along highways such as Madison Avenue and Fifth Avenue, you have double parking, triple parking, truck delivery. In Paris, trucks deliver goods from 6 p.m. till midnight or 6 a.m. the next morning. This is outside rush hour, and this should be initiated in New York. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Harvey S. Morris, and I am the recording vice president of the Associated Musicians of Greater New York, Local 802. Just so you know, Local 802 is the largest local union of professional musicians in the country. We represent musicians who perform on Broadway, who perform with the New York Philharmonic, the Metropolitan Opera, and many, many other ensembles throughout the Greater New York area. Many of these musicians who perform in these ensembles have to travel into New York City's central business district and unfortunately pay the toll, which will now be imposed. The imposition of the congestion pricing toll will have an inordinate impact on these workers. And while I'm a union officer here today, I speak as a private individual. I realize that there are many competing groups that are suggesting that they deserve an exemption from the congestion pricing toll, and many present very justifiable grounds for those exemptions. Likewise, I equally realize that there may be tax credits available for low-income individuals. Unfortunately, the vast majority of musicians who perform on Broadway and Lincoln Center and the such will not be able to avail themselves of these tax breaks as they earn more than the financial threshold required for the credit. Many musicians do not have the ability to utilize public transportation because they perform on large instruments that are not easily transportable, such as double basses, tubas, bass trombones, percussion, to name a few. These musicians deserve consideration for an exemption. While a blanket exemption may not be wise to offer, I suggest that there be established a process for which exemptions can be granted on a sui generis basis for good cause. Individuals who have livelihoods that may be compromised by the impact of congestion pricing should have the opportunity to make an application for an exemption or an individual basis and be given consideration of their request. Thank you for your time today.
Hello, my name is Jay Blumenthal. I've lived in the congestion zone at Manhattan Plaza on West 42nd Street for the last 47 years. For that entire time, I've owned an automobile, and I've been able to come and go without this additional congestion pricing fee. It seems very unfair that residents within the congestion pricing zone are not being offered a discount or an exemption, because every time we leave Manhattan, we must return home. We don't have the option of deciding not to enter the congestion zone. So I would hope that there would be some sort of either a deep discount or an exemption for those of us that live within the congestion pricing zone and own automobiles. My last concern is that as I exit the parking lot of Manhattan Plaza, there are plate readers in both directions on 42nd Street going west or east. And every time I come out of my parking lot, that will read my plate along with the other automobiles that are entering from Dyer Avenue, making a left or a right. So I'm concerned that I won't even be able to ride within the congestion zone without incurring the fee. Thank you very much.
My name is Nelson Santos, again, no relation to George. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and probably many seniors who live in the city. I live on Roosevelt Island. So I was born in New Jersey, but I've been working and living in Manhattan as a renter and an owner. And many of my family are in New Jersey. So I do go there frequently, several times a month to go visit. To go to the George Washington Bridge is way out of the way when they're in South Jersey. So in my circumstances, I do use mass transit, but I do exit the city by driving. I own a car. And I'm just curious as to why senior citizens who have worked here many years, paid taxes to the city and the state, why can't we get not full exemption, maybe X amount of exemptions a month? And by way of the transponder, you can monitor that. So I live on Roosevelt Island, so I have to get onto the Queensboro Bridge. And I don't know exactly, I usually come around, take the FDR and cut across West Houston. I'll get dinged if I'm gonna leave that way through the Holland Tunnel. So I'm not totally opposed, but I feel that down the road, there are gonna be some financial abuses from this money and revenue that you're gonna be taking in. So, and that will remain to be seen down the road, because there's going to be a lot of money coming into the MTA. I know it will be adopted, there's no doubt, but I want it tweaked a little bit. And all I can say is what Arnold Diaz once and used to say, shame on you.
My name is Yadwinder Singh. Hi, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. All my Taxi Workers Alliance members and all the MTA staff. I want this MTA congestion exemption from taxi because we already paying so much money to the MTA already. Are we losing more than $15,000 every year putting money into the MTA's pocket? And this is our third tax that we are planning to like paying to the MTA, which is now like we have like so many Uber's cars, which is like more than 58,000 Uber itself, and we have only 8,000 yellow cab left. And it's very hard to make money on the streets these days. Like we making barely money and surviving our families from this MTA taxes. So we pay, at least I come here like for 12-hour shift, but unfortunately I have to work more than 16 hours a day because of this congestion and my lease. So I would like to ask MTA to exempt taxi from this congestion charges. Thank you, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm uh, I'm the member of the New York Taxi Worker Alliance. I am Shubham Ghosh. I'm the medallion owner. I in with New York City, the yellow cab, I think should be exempt from the congestion price because it's in the yellow cab. Well, you are already paying taxes from since 2009, and there is no this will be like third or fourth taxes. There is no place to put it, and we don't have no income at all. You know, the taxi business already crashed. If they put this congestion price again, the taxi industry will be destroyed. So I request to all the New York taxi, the MTA to look at that part. There is only limited taxi right now, but it's like people don't take, we don't make money at all. Whatever the money we make is all paid to the city or the taxes. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Leung. I'm against congestion prices. It's not because like I drive or whatever. I think mass transit. The reason why I are against for congestion prices is because like they keep on saying we got like cleaner air and like the traffic will move faster. But like correct me if I'm wrong. Like the M15, M101, M102, and 103 bus they start out like below 60th Street. But what happens if they go beyond 60th Street? Won't the traffic be like crazy? Like won't be like slowing it down? And they're also saying like for those people that like come to the city and like try to support the mom and pop store, tell them to park somewhere and take the mass transit. But like where is there to park? No, that doesn't make sense. So like well, I guess my conclusion is like it's just a bad idea to have congestion price. And they say in order for them to raise money for the MTA, they gotta raise the toll fare. For me, I beg the difference because people's like jumping the turnstiles because they don't have the money to pay for it. But like, what happens if they lower the toll fare? People actually could afford it. Maybe they raise money the other way. That's it. That's all I have.
I'm speaking tonight in full support of the congestion pricing plan. There's too much anger on our streets today. This is driven by the impact of far too many vehicles. Congestion pricing will quieten our streets and calm those that still choose to drive, providing a better experience for all street users. Driving a car is not a right. It is one of many forms of transportation and by far the most dangerous to the public. Congestion pricing needs to be implemented with no extra exemptions. I don't want to feel like I'm taking my life into my hands anymore when I cross the street. Thanks.
My name is Andon, and I used to drive an F-150. I still have the option to drive an F-150. Instead, I choose to walk, take transit, and bike because over-indexing on cars and trucks ruins our cities. Cars and trucks are ruining our cities. They make our streets less safe and more dangerous and toxic. We deserve a city that moves faster, breathes easier, and where we don't have to risk dying to walk or bike around the city. Anything that disincentivizes vehicular traffic and supports steady funding for the MTA, I'm here for. Also, bring back Train Daddy.
Hi, my name is Noam Radcliffe. I've lived in Brooklyn since 2020, and before that, I grew up in Westchester County. I've driven into Manhattan from both locations more times than I can count, and it always comes with a litany of traffic troubles. This is a system that's crying out for a fix, and I believe congestion pricing can be that fix. Not only would it ease traffic in the CBD, it would also raise the net productivity of those who still drive in by letting them get to work faster, and it would improve their lives by letting them get back home earlier. Nowadays, I'm one of the millions of New Yorkers who make liberal use of our subways, and I can't overstate how exciting it is to think that for what feels like the first time in my life, the subway might get the funds it needs to truly serve New Yorkers. The money raised through congestion pricing and invested in the subway means making life better for so many people that it makes my head spin. And all of that is before we even talk about how congestion pricing would improve air quality and slash emissions. Climate crisis is already destroying lives around the world. We have a moral imperative to do what we can to slow it down. And not to put too fine a point on it, but I believe congestion pricing should be a no-brainer. It's made London, Stockholm, and Singapore into cleaner, more efficient, and more livable cities. Please let it do the same for New York. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sorab Sadat Lajavardi, member of the local 822 Musicians Union and also the president of Musicians for Musicians. And my goal is to achieve fair pay for hardworking musicians. So whether it's a Broadway show, an opera or ballet performance, a symphonic concert or chamber music recital at Lincoln Center or Carnegie Hall, a performance in one of the city's thousands of clubs, restaurants and bars, or part of a musical festival, music and the musicians that perform it are an essential part of New York City's vital nightlife scene. So, but it's very important that with my message, that the MTA should know that we musicians are really a hardworking workforce. We are also essential workers, and without us, nothing happens, especially at night. So NYC's nightlife is also a magnet for tourism, which more than 62 million visitors in 2017. So without music, really nothing happens. While many workers participate in the New York City entertainment industry, musicians are the essential workers at the heart of this industry. The musicians frequently move from gig to gig, transporting the equipment needed for their performances. The ability to remove their gear from one gig to the next is really tough. So what is the congestion? We are pro this congestion bill, but we want to be carved out because we lose money. The $15 means that we make only half of our income. So please understand that we musicians need to be carved out. Thank you very much.
Noelle Hunter, Noelle, space Hunter. Hello, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. The subway that we know and rely on today consists of very antiquated structures and systems. We have accepted this without improvement for too long. It is time for a change in our priorities. I'm a member of Gen Z, and climate change is a serious threat for my generation. We can no longer delude ourselves into thinking that driving will solve this looming threat. Climate change demands sustainable solutions like subways and other rapid transit investments. Congestion pricing will help move us towards a more equitable and sustainable future. However, current details about intended capital improvements are laughably sparse. The only way to ensure that congestion pricing has its intended effect is by using many of the funds to invest in outer borough connections, like the Queenslink project. This would create Queens's first north-south subway connection and would combine rapid transit with park space. This drastically reduces the travel time for low-income and minority individuals who need these benefits the most. When we talk about transit equity and congestion pricing money, and using that money to benefit the most amount of people, the MTA must put this money where their mouths are. The city and MTA have overlooked Queenslink for far too long, and now is finally the time to make good on this generational investment. I sincerely urge you to use this congestion pricing funding to benefit those who need it most. Thank you.
My name is John Kalamanis. I live at 2 Columbus Avenue, corner of 9th Avenue and 59th Street with my family. We have been living there for 25 years. We park our car in a garage adjacent to our building on 59th Street. We never use our car within the CBD. We use mass transit or walk. However, as residents in the CBD, we should not be penalized to leave the zone and come back home to unload our groceries. We use our car to go north almost every day. Our church is in Washington Heights, where my wife is president of the parish. She's up there daily doing volunteer work. All our doctors who we need on a regular basis are up at Columbia University. We do all our grocery shopping out of the zone where prices are more advantageous, especially in New Jersey. I visit my 92-year-old mother in Cliffside Park, New Jersey. She lives alone and I deliver groceries and go see her several times a week, if not almost every day. As a resident, we should not be penalized to return to our home. As one of the previous testimonies said, this is really an illegal act and so very wrong. Have your congestion pricing, but residents in the CBD should not be penalized. Remember, we are going out from the zone, not in. We are not the problem. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melinda Scott, and I live in the congestion zone. I would like to start by echoing some statements from Friday, that this morning and on Friday, many of the speakers in support of congestion were affiliated with organizations and paid to speak. Further, I believe this to be the first public hearing. It occurred after the plate readers were elected and claimed to be fully operational. And also, I'd like to state that there's been no public vote on congestion charge, which allowed the citizens of Manhattan to vote on whether or not we agreed to the congestion charge. So it is clear that the MTA and Governor Hochul have no intent to take into consideration the thoughts of the people that live in the zone and will be affected by the congestion zone before implementing a $1 billion tax on the middle class. That said, I have a suggestion for an exemption that would create no additional administrative burden. The parking tax exemption requires you to have a car registered in Manhattan, insured in Manhattan, and parked in Manhattan. This database already exists and is tied to the license plate of the car. You can use this to create exemptions for New Yorkers that live in Manhattan with no additional administrative burden to the MTA. Further, in London, there are exemptions for those that live within the congestion zone. They receive a 90% discount if you live within the zone. There is also an exemption for electric and hybrid electric cars. You should not be charged to return to your home, and electric and hybrid cars that can go 50 miles or more on electric are not emitting fumes, so they do not add to congestion. In summary, this is a $1 billion tax on the middle and working class, and the Democrat or Republicans who run against Hochul in the next election should take note of that phrase. There should be a public referendum on the ballot to allow New Yorkers to vote, and there should be exemptions for those who live in Manhattan, who live in the zone.
Hi, hello. My name is Alexander Sadiq. I'm the president of the traffic enforcement agent. To start, I have almost 50% of my members that works in Manhattan in the CBD area, which is by force. We didn't choose to work there. And as the president of the Traffic Enforcement Agent Union, it's my responsibility to advocate for the well-being and interest of our dedicated member who play the crucial role in ensuring the safety and efficiency of the city of New York. We're not against it. Less cars in New York City, it's better. We have approximately every day someone that got hit by a car, somebody got hurt just by the congestion that we have in New York City. I think we are the first people that seeing and facing that firsthand. We supported it. We're not against it, but we are 100% against that. We have to pay to come to work every day. I live in Staten Island. I pay toll going home, toll back to come to work. And it's going to be too much for us to just afford to come to work every day. We support, I'm the president of that local that we hired with $41,000. After 30 years of work, it approximately goes to $48,000. Just keep that in mind. I hope that you have a plan for people that don't make enough money and they have to. They're not by choice, but they have to come to work. We work under the police department rule and regulation. they could turn out tomorrow and tell you, okay, you have to work here, you must work here, and we cannot say no about it. Please consider that we be 100% exempt from paying any money to come to work. Thank you and good luck.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Olufemi Shokumbi. I'm the Vice President for Traffic Agents in New York City. We are totally against congestion problem in New York City, but we are in support of congestion pricing if it has to be, if the city workers will be able to afford it. What I see now is that none of the city workers will be able to afford paying that congestion pricing, especially traffic agents that are underpaid in New York City alone. We work in downtown Manhattan. The only thing that I think the MTA need to consider right now is, one, they have to fix their budget. Some people are jumping the turnstile. They're losing millions of dollars on that alone. They have to know how to fix that so that they will be arrested, and whoever jumped the turnstile should be arrested. Also, a lot of people are driving on those bridges without any tag. They don't have easy pass. So the MTA is losing millions of dollars on that. Also, before you can even discuss, encourage people to take a public transportation, you have to fix the transit system. People are not safe. People are scared of their life to go inside a train or buses because of what is happening. They don't have enough cameras on inside the train stations. They don't have enough police officers over there. People are scared to go inside the train. So that's why some people drive to work. So if they can do that and they fix their budget, because every year they keep increasing the toll, everything. Yeah, I live in Staten Island. How can I pay coming to New York City, and then when I go walk in under the 60th Street, I still have to pay tolls? So thank you very much.